Chris Avellone, the writer and developer for the amazing games like Planescape Torment, Fallout 2 New Vegas, Divinity Original Sin 2, Knights of the Old Republic 2, and the new Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, is being criticized on social media for stating his beliefs on apolitical games, saying that it is possible to do apolitical games. The same people that are claiming that it is impossible to do apolitical games are probably the same people that are saying that there's not enough politics in Godzilla and there's too much mindless action in it. Go figure, right? So this all started when VG247 published an article called Can Stories Be Apolitical? We asked some video game writers and narrative designers, and the writer had asked 3 people their thoughts and opinions on the matter: writer Sean Alexander Allen, writer Rihanna Pratchett, and Avellone. And Avellone, as you could guess, was the only one that said that games could be apolitical. They may become political as societal norms change, but I believe it's possible to do apolitical games. Very quickly in this next part, he did mean condemn and not condone. He did confirm that on Twitter. That is on his part, not the writer's part, but I will fix it for purposes. I also do not condemn developers who want to do political games or make a statement. I think a game is served better by asking a question, provide a range of perspectives on the question, but then leaving the answer to the player. I tried to frame any politics in the perimeters of the world, the lore, and the franchise. The reason I take this approach is because I view games as entertainment. If you are purposely pushing an agenda or point of view in your game, especially a real-world one that's clearly divorced from the game world, and you're dictating the perspective as correct versus asking a question or examining the perspective more broadly, then it's left the gaming realm and the game has become a pulpit. When I do apolitical design, I do not view the narrative as having nothing to say. Instead, the stories may have something to say in the context of the game world. The game's commentary may be simply on the game's world, gods, factions, or some other aspects of the lore or franchise itself, and ideally, the player is part of the story and not simply there to passively listen to what the game is saying, but what they can bring to the story and the world through interacting with it. I think a game, especially a role-playing game, can have a considerable amount to say by examining what the player brings to the equation, and players asking themselves what kind of character and what kind of player are they when confronted with a situation that's not clearly black and white. Now, I am someone that hates narratives in my game. I play my games for escapism and for the freedom of having choices, not to be bombarded by one perspective or ideology, and as you heard, Avellone believes that games should provide multiple perspectives in games, which leads to questioning various political ideas rather than being force-fed one, and I agree with this. You are not making a game for one specific type of person, but a wide variety of people, and they should not need to share a similar political stance to enjoy it. If you are going to push an agenda in one, why is there not another type of game with the opposite? Call of Duty progressive and Call of Duty conservative, coming to you next generation. That is not what games are about. That is not what storytelling is about. No one is saying that politics in games cannot exist. There are plenty of games based around politics or heavy political themes, but there is a difference between a game spreading a forced narrative in a game and games giving you choices. Look at Blade Runner. This is the best example that I can give you off of the top of my head. It does not tell you what it means to be human, it asks the question of what it means to be human. Or simply put, what does it mean to be alive and what is a soul? All good storytelling does this because it makes it more relatable. It makes you feel more emotionally attached to it. Watching a movie and leaving your mind to wander, or playing a game and, after the credits, wondering if other people got the same experience out of the game that you did. Wondering the alternative paths, but ultimately knowing which one that you made. It does not give you a narrative, it asks you a question, and that is what makes an experience very memorable. Not, yes, the person that wrote this game totally understands the hardship of the people that are the same political stance as me. And obviously, looking at all of the work that he has done, he has written things with political messages in them. but people are harshly criticizing him, and he even responded to someone on Twitter that was criticizing him, saying, "I'm not saying I do not include politics in my writing. The difference is the politics, whenever possible, were intended to within the context of events in the game world and the franchise. This is exactly it. Within the context of events in the game world and the franchise. It is okay to have a political theme, but it needs to follow along with the events in the game and the franchise. Besides games based off of historical events, how many games really follow real-life politics? I didn't see Trump as the President of the United States in Far Cry New Dawn, yet they referenced plenty of political stances in it that relate to the real world that had nothing to do with the context of the in-game world, outside of the game. This really breaks the fourth wall, and why does anyone want to spend money on a game that isn't really a game, that's making remarks and hidden messages that do not relate to anything in the game or the universe you are set in? People are interpreting this interview in the worst ways possible, and Avalon did try to put as much context into it as he could. But that is just what happens when, in this day and age, everyone voices their opinions on social media, and they do not have to have a discussion or conversation about it. They can just attack you because they disagree with you or think that you are wrong and they are right. But that is all that I had to talk about today, you guys. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to give it a like, and of course, if you did not, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either which way. Feel free to have a discussion about this topic in the comment section down below, but I hope that you guys did enjoy, and I will talk to you guys again in the next video very soon.